Hello, and good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk to you about courts and trial and the procedure, the general procedure that occurs in many courts in the United States. However, this topic is very difficult to discuss and to generalize, being that so much depends on a particular state's procedure and a court's procedure because they vary across the board. Uh, for typical courts use a grand jury to bring about charges against a person. However, today I'd like to discuss the procedure and some variations uh, which many states do use in minor courts and subcourts, which wherein a prosecutor, as opposed to a grand jury, will file charges against a certain client. Now, this procedure that I'll be talking about, I'll be using it under misdemeanors. Uh, so the first step, there are a couple steps, and the first is the initial appearance before a judge or the lower court or a magister, wherein which the charge is read to the defendant and the penalties for his misdemeanor or his or her misdemeanor are explained. Then the defendant is advised of his or her right to trial and trial by jury if desired. Then the right to counsel, the right to a counsel is given to them, a legal representative, and is explained by the judge or magistrate, who will then appoint a lawyer if the defendant requests one. If he or she could not find their own lawyer or representative, then the defendant will then enter a plea, such as guilty or not guilty. Uh, if the counsel has been requested and appointed, uh, or if the defendant indicates that a private counsel will be retained. Um, a plea of not guilty is then entered. If the defendant enters a not guilty plea, a trial date will be set in the future. If the defendant, however, pleads guilty, either a date will be set for sentencing or or the magistrate or judge will impose probation, fines, or other sentences immediately. In some cases, the judge or magistrate may allow a defendant to plead nolo contendere or no contest. Sort of like calling the fifth. In many jurisdictions, a plea of no contest is equivalent to a guilty plea. Except that the defendant does not directly admit guilt. It's sort of like the defendant is using a hypothetical as if he knows who did it. Did the misdemeanor. Assuming the defendant has pleaded not guilty, which in many cases, in the majority of cases, the defendants often do plead not guilty, the judge or magistrate sets the amount of bail and to remove the charges against he or she who is in this predicament. And from then on, trial will begin. However, during the trial, if the defendant somehow amasses the amount of money for bail, they can pay that bail and the trial will be over with along with the case, and that it will all be dismissed. So that is the general procedure and the explanation of the general procedure that is used in many courts across the United States and international as well, um, for cases using a where charges will be filed by a prosecutor as opposed to a grand jury. Thank you and have a good day.